talking about energizing your career through strengths. Kara, it looks like it's T-shirt day.
It is, yes. I was thinking, like God, source, energy, whatever one wants to call it, turned up the heat in North Carolina. So it's definitely like keeping it cool as best as possible over here. How about for you?
Yeah, it sounds like that heat wave is going across the country. So yeah, I think we're all kind of in that boat.
Right. Yeah. It's the first day of summer. Happy summer. So it's quite fitting.
Oh, it is. It is. That's fun. Yes. Yeah. And so today we're going to be talking about ideation.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Very low on the ladder for me. It's number 32 for me, for sure.
And it's 16 for me. So mine's in the messy middle, that it might show up once in a while if I'm lucky, right?
Right. Yes. And I observe in awe whenever ideation is in the house. So I'm like, wow, how did they do that? Yes. The thought energizer bunny is one way of thinking of it. Another way that I came up with was popcorn popping of ideas. But actually, the definition, I totally just like went over here. How about the official definition would be helpful?
It's a great visual, right? That whole popcorn popper, because it really is. When I talk to people with that strength, it's really cool to listen to them. Just that they can just go, what about, if you thought of it, and you're like, oh my gosh, you need to stop, because you gave me 6 really good ideas right now.
Right. Yes. In a matter of seconds, it's amazing how quickly it comes.
Yeah. So the pure definition is people who are especially talented in the ideation theme are fascinated by ideas. They're able to find connections between seemingly disparate phenomena, which is a really, I think, kind of convoluted way to say they're really good at connecting the dots for those of us, that can't connect them,
That seem like in different galaxies, right? Like they're dots that are like, how did you even, that's amazing. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And so obvious once they say it.
Absolutely. Yes, exactly. Yeah. You definitely, yes, I'm with you. There are moments of true humility, like, right on. I'm so thankful you're on our team.
I know, right?
Definitely more.
I've also heard people with high ideation say, some of my clients, they're like, yeah, I really don't know that I care if you use the ideas. I just truly enjoy the opportunity to come up with them.
Yes, it seems like truly unconditional for most ideation theme high friends out there. Yes, the joy of offering the popcorn. Like it's just like it's gonna pop anyway. So might as well.
Right. Yeah, that's funny. You're right. It will pop anyway. And I often talk to my clients about the idea of where this energy comes from your strengths. Mm-hmm. And I think ideation is one of those that it's kind of clear, right? That you get this immense energy just from the activity of coming up with ideas.
Yes. And no matter the hour, it doesn't matter if it's a 7 a.m. meeting or 7 p.m. meeting. When there's an opportunity to offer up those ideas, it light up. It's really, really cool.
Yeah. So now, in speaking of work and ideation, what would be some of your examples of how ideation would show up in work?
Yeah, so with former colleagues and clients as well, it's really been powerful to see how another metaphor for it is almost like a free pass at the amusement park in terms of all of the different options. Like we could do all the things, and this is how we can do X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah. So that's how I've seen it again, just that pure energy and joy that comes from just having a moment. And I think for fellow team members, sometimes it's helpful to have in place like, okay, and I've heard also my ideation theme high colleagues and friends out there say like, okay, how much time do I have to offer up my ideas? Like give me a window, because if you don't, it's gonna just keep going. So is this 2 minutes? Is this 5 minutes? Because I could keep going. So
yeah, and I'll tell you, Kara, one of the things that we always talk about with strengths is they can also be your weaknesses at moments, right? And I will tell you that I've seen ideation show up in people of power within a job function, like they're the president of the company, they're the head of the department, that have high ideation,
Right.
And I always warn them, I'm like, when you walk into a meeting and you're ready to ideate, let people know that, because you see the people that are the doers
Yeah.
writing furiously, thinking they need to do all these things. And it's like, no, I was just brainstorming, right?
Yeah, it's like the primer, you got to hit that primer, like when you're about to mow the lawn or whatever, like when you're going to pull the throttle, you got to prime it. So like when you're about to pull that throttle, yes, prime those colleagues around you and say, just so you know, which is all the more reason to carry out our strengths and create a strengths-based culture, so that when you say ideation, everybody has that common understanding of what you're even talking about. They have a reference point of like, oh, this I can translate. This is what this is and what we're about to dive into. Yeah.
And for the people that are not necessarily aware of strengths yet, and I always say introduce your strengths before they introduce you. And for ideation, that would be, hey guys, I am just throwing out ideas here. We don't have to do any of them, but let's just brainstorm, right? Just let them know what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I would, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No. Yeah. How about for you?
Yeah. So, with my marketing background, so I ran marketing departments for 20 plus years. I really saw people that use their ideation for being creative. I mean, it really is a creative type of theme. And it's not only that they're creative on one side, but I think that they're also kind of disruptors in that, we talked about how they get these connections between two things that you really haven't thought about. So I think they're really good at disrupting the norm. Because like in marketing, you're selling the same product every day in and out. And you're like, how am I going to come up with another idea on how to sell this thing, right?
Yes.
And I think people high in ideation are the ones that you bring in to say, throw it at me, let's do something different.
Yeah, let's break up the monotony for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about for volunteering? What would you have for that one?
I would tell you, so, okay, I always say this, and when I had my very first job in marketing, I was like, I learn more going to the bathroom than I do all day long. And people are like, what are you talking about? What I would do is I would get up and I had to walk all the way through every department to get to the restroom. And on my way, people would stop me or I'd stop them. I'd be like, hey, what are you doing? What project are you working on? What franchisee have you talked to? What, whatever the question is. And I'd learn so much. And I kind of think of people with high ideation, if they could let people know about this strength by exhibiting that strength and, to do the same thing and just be like, oh, have you thought of, and get to a point where people are actually asking them to come to ideas or come to meetings to give ideas.
Yeah. Just little nuggets here, little nuggets there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And for me, it's back to what you were saying. I was thinking whenever there's a moment to shake things up, whether it is verbalized that needs to be shook up a bit, or you as ideation theme high, you just see it so clear, like, okay, friends, just, I'm going to take a moment to offer, here are some options on ways to just go about it slightly differently. And right, the only people that we can control ourselves. So what comes of your offerings is to be, that's on them. And there's something we said for just offering that perspective, because it's really, really valuable.
It is. I mean, every time we talk about these strengths, Kara, I get jealous of the ones I don't have. And because you just look at them and you're like, wow, you just look at people in awe, right? And what they can do and what they bring to the world. And, I'll tell you, I also love doing this with my clients that are in high school and college, because it's amazing. You just see them sit up an extra 2 inches when they're talking about their strengths, because they're like, wow, I am good at this stuff, and they get really excited.
And that it's a unique gift. Like, again, it's for our ideation theme high friends out there. If you're possibly thinking like, well, everybody thinks this way, like surely everybody else is thinking X, Y, and Z, like most likely they're not, so it's to your benefit to offer up, of course there are ways like we were saying, Kristin, say like, hey, have you thought about, rather than like, you should, blah, 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 right? So there are ways to go about it tactfully. But yeah, your gift is truly a gift that is to be shared with the world. And we appreciate you doing so.
Yeah, and again, the purpose of Kara and I talking about this every week is we want you to be able to raise your hand and choose to do the things that you do well every day, not only in your personal life, but especially in your career.
Absolutely. Yeah. And thank you again for adding your comments below, especially if you have ideation theme high or have memorable moments working with people with ideation theme high. Like, oh, yeah, it totally showed up that way. That was awesome. We appreciate you.